were able to climb out of it. What was the difference tonight?
You just said it.
What are the remaining parts of your game that you're still working to get back after the injury?
Nothing much. Conditioning still is coming along. But other than that, I'm able to get them down the floor with no problems.
Consistency was a word that was mentioned by some of your teammates tonight in terms of the search for it. Obviously, there's been a ton of games already, and if it's still searching for it, is there enough time to find it?
I don't know. We just got to play better our next game in Memphis, but we're almost 60 games in, so I don't know.
Urgency was lacking tonight from the team?
From the start, yeah. It happened in the Houston game too. Just the start of the game and then the start of the third. That urgency, has to be there, and we dug ourselves a hole, once again in the third quarter tonight. But how many know what's at stake if you've never been there? I'm asking you too. I'm like, how do you know what's at stake if you've never been there before? Yeah,
but then how you know I never been there before?
No, not you.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Obviously, I'm not talking about you. I'm just like, kind of playing devil's advocate.
Right. The idea of trying to get to the playoffs. Now there's 23 games.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of a fine line, when you talk about that, because when you've never been there or know what it takes to actually shoot for something like that, and sometimes you're afraid to get uncomfortable. So you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I'm not saying that's what we are as a whole. Kind of looks that way at times. That sometimes we feel like we're afraid to be uncomfortable, kind of get out of our comfort zone. Have that sense of urgency, from the jump, and not be afraid to actually go out and fail to succeed. So, we have 23 games left, and we'll see what happens.
Do losses now feel different than losses maybe earlier in the season?
For me?
Yeah.
No. See, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. See, it's like, I don't know. It's just been so last few years, everybody's so accustomed to the losses that I'm just not accustomed to. I'm not accustomed to it. I would never get comfortable with losing. So, losing game 1 to Houston, it feels the same way as losing game 59 in New Orleans for me. That's just how I'm built. That's who I am. Ask Dave. Dave will tell you who I am. He's been with me for the last few years. You guys are just starting.
The beginning of the game to the end. It starts with the stars and the second unit guys going to win. But we have to just have a sense of urgency. We have to challenge ourselves, challenge each other, and hold everyone accountable, really.
What's your just sort of bigger picture look at this team right now and where you are, and then how you guys have to play down the stretch here?
We just got to get better. We just got to compete, play harder, make the extra effort. If something breaks down, we got to put out fires. That's something that we have to get better at. And we're a good defensive team. There's no way we should be giving up 40, 45 points in a quarter.
Hey, Josh, we know you had the injection over the All-Star break, and you've been dealing with the knee tendonitis. How has it been since you've now played these couple games after the break?
It's better. It's not, the PRP isn't a magical thing where I get injected with it and, everything's good. I'm 100%. I'm getting better. I'm continuing to do the rehab, and hopefully soon it'll be 100.
Biggest things you focus on now heading to Memphis?
We just gotta compete. We just gotta play harder. Have attention to detail, and execute, and more so defensively. Offense isn't the problem. We're scoring 115, 120 points. We got to get stops. We got to not turn the ball over. We got to get stops and, rebound. I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, we have to challenge ourselves, and we just got to take it personal each and every play.
Yeah, last thing for you. Is it, with other teams they're going to play hard too, is it tough sometimes if they get into a rhythm and does that defensive way that you can play, or
let them get in a rhythm? That's what it starts with. You can't wait for a team to hit you till you start playing. We got to do our best to make them uncomfortable, to win the line of scrimmage, to hit first. And it's tough in this league when you wait to get hit, and then you start playing. We just got to we can't let teams get in a row. That's what it is.
Thanks, Josh.
Cool.
Guys, Jost Hart.
Oh, the race for the 8th spot in the Western Conference has gotten real serious. You see the Lakers at the bottom of this board. They're full 3 games back in the loss column, 3 games back at the Clippers in the win column. You're also looking at the Rockets. Even though they're in 5th place, they're still in this discussion right now. So 5 through 10 can flip-flop a lot. Let's go over to 3D. Man, you look at that, and you see the situation with the Lakers, 1 game under 500, so late in the season, not where they want to be.
Not where they want to be. They're struggling because the young guys don't understand when we say playoff mode. You look at the Kings, they're salivating to finally get back in the playoffs. It's been a lot of years. You saw the Jazz lose a tough one in overtime the other night at OKC. You saw the Spurs on the road lose a tough one to Toronto. So that 5 through 9 now for the last 20-some games is going to be nip and tuck all the way down the stretch. You got to make open shots. You got to play great team defense. And when in doubt, we always talk about role players. Well, the superstars have to be superstars down the stretch so the role players can help out.
And for the Lakers, as Karan broke down earlier, they're getting open three-point looks. They're getting quality shots, but they're not knocking them down. And then you heard Jost Hart and Luke Walton say it. On defense, they don't have a presence. They don't have an identity. It's very late in the season to not have that.
And you have to remind people that you go into the Big Easy thinking no Anthony Davis tonight, and you kind of let your guard down a little bit. Well, Julius Randle had a little bit of in his bag because he knew that the Lakers had let him go too early. So guys are going to bring extra to the game when a guy gets traded. And Drew Holiday once again reminded all of us he's been an all-star before.
As we see games conclude, we still have some. LeBron James and the Lakers looking to ride that momentum of their comeback win over the Houston Rockets on Thursday night. They're playing against an Anthony Davis-less New Orleans Pelicans. GameTime Live, presented by State Farm. It's a shooter Saturday. Chris Miles here with 3D and Karan Butler. Pass the rock. You got an imaginary one right
there.
There
you go.
Karan, you get it too. Here you go.
No, I don't pass. You got pass. Come on, if you're talking about pass the rock one more. There you go.
Look, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Now you're ready.
See, I'm the one passing the rock to these
Smart
guys.
Man.
And, the next 2 hours, next 3 hours, that's what we're doing on this show. But we got some updates for you around the league. Anthony Davis out. And James Harden, looking for an update on him as well. And he is officially out. So James Harden, riding that 30-plus point streak in 32 consecutive games. He's out against the Golden State Warriors. Anthony Davis out against the Los Angeles Lakers. Speaking of which, here's head coach Alvin Gentry on playing without Anthony Davis against the Lakers.
With all the drama that's gone on between these two teams, do you need to say anything to the locker room in terms of keeping them focused and keeping the emotions out of tonight?
Heck no. I mean, it's just a regular season game. No one cares about, it's one of 82, so I don't see anything that's going to be exciting about it other than the play on the court. I don't see. It's just a regular season game. I don't know, To me, I think it's very insignificant, really. Anything that happens other than the play on the court.
Did you like just the first half last night? It seemed like it was kind of what you guys want to see as far as moving the ball and just the way that you guys played.
Yeah, I thought we played a really good first half, and from the ball movement standpoint and everything, we shot the ball well from 3, and then obviously we struggled the second half. We made 8 out of 16 from 3 the first half and didn't make one. We were 0 for 11 the second half. So turned the ball over too much. You know, between the offensive rebounds and the turnovers, you know, we gave up 45 points and 44 points in those two categories. And usually when you're creeping into the 50-point range in those, you're going to struggle and have a tough time winning, regardless of what the score was at halftime.
The decision on AD, is that a team decision or is it your decision, or how do y'all come about
it? It was a team decision, but we've talked to him along the way. I mean, I think everything that has happened has been totally transparent. I think he'll tell you that any decision made by the team, we sit down and we talk to him about it, and so that's the way it was made, but it was a team decision, yes.
And this was made in advance, Coach, this decision to rest him for tonight's game?
Yes, it was. If you're looking along the lines of having any significance that we're playing the Lakers, no, it had nothing to do with it. It was done, if we were playing, I'll give you guys a name that you won't know anyway. If we were playing the Baltimore Claws, okay, we would sit him out that game too, okay?
Is this just back-to-backs?
Go back and look that up now, Jimmy, okay?
Is it just not playing him on back-to-backs? Is that the decision that was made, not playing him on back-to-backs?
We're not playing it on back-to-back on this situation right here.
He didn't want to see him. It's not JaVale McGee. He's scared of JaVale McGee's.
We'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, you know. But
to see AD play, Alvin, you guys holding him out. I don't get this, man. It's a long flight.
We'll pay for your flight back. Okay.
You're on camera, Coach.
I'll pay for his flight back. I got enough money to pay for his flight back. I'll put him on Southwest. You know, that's like $69. You know.
He doesn't want to stay. It's Mardi Gras. He doesn't want to go.
He can't handle Mardi Gras. Okay. I know him. He can't handle Mardi Gras. Okay.
So Alvin Gentry kind of sidestepping the questions about Anthony Davis not playing tonight against the Lakers. We know what happened on Valentine's Day with the sore shoulder, and then he was listed as questionable for this game, now sitting this one out. But Karan, let's go back to, on this very show, you said that Anthony Davis, anywhere he gets traded to, would be a rental. Then during All-Star Weekend, Anthony Davis was again on Game Time with Casey Stern and said almost the exact same thing to Casey, like, look, my free agency, wherever I go, you know, I'll be there for a year, then I'm going elsewhere. So what's changed in that situation? What can we expect when the summer comes for Anthony Davis?
Well, look, I talked to a source close to the situation, and that's why I knew the mindset and, you know, for the foreseeable future, what it looked like. The landscape for him is to have two destinations, and I think, you know, paired with Kyrie Irving in the Eastern Conference, somewhere will be one. And then obviously, you know, going to the Los Angeles Lakers.
We can't just overlook that because we've heard the Lakers. You said pairing with Kyrie Irving in the Eastern Conference. That feels new.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And when you talk about the assets that Boston have, that they can actually go out there and acquire him. And you heard the soundbite of Anthony Davis said, look, I never said that I wouldn't want to play with the Boston Celtics, and yet alone, you know, play with a top-tier guy on that short list when you talk about superstars in this game, like a Kyrie Irving. His dad made that statement, but he never made that statement. So with that being said, you know, that Eastern Conference is extremely attractive to landing, you know, a Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis combo. But, you know, most importantly, I think that he wants to exist with LeBron James in a Laker uniform.
You know, it seems as if things have gotten very interesting since Anthony Davis signed with Clutch Sports, and we have some news tonight about another potential free agent in that same class, not this summer, but next summer. Draymond Green also has signed with Clutch Sports. 3D, what do you make of this situation? Of course, Draymond not on the level of, let's say, Anthony Davis and what he can force in free agency, but how does this change the landscape going forward of how we view teams coming together?
I don't think a lot to your point, Chris, that we're not going to put Draymond on the same level as KD and from that standpoint. But we know that Draymond's had a relationship with Rich Paul and Clutch Sports for a few years now with the HBO thing that they've been doing. But it just makes things real interesting that now when he does become a free agent, he can say, hey, LeBron's here, maybe AD's there, maybe there's other things there that makes the conversation more interesting. But then he has a chance to go home and say, now, Rich, I hear you saying this, but you mean you want me to leave Steph Curry? You want me to leave KD? You want me to leave Clay? And I know we're proven, have an opportunity to possibly win back-to-back-to-back championships. So that, to me, Karan, would make me say, I'm going to listen, but I don't know how much I'm going to listen to that, knowing what I have in front of me to leave that to go see, well, LeBron, I love him to death, but he's getting a little bit older. I know AD's had his little injury situations. And wait a minute, if LeBron's dribbling, I don't think I'm the same effective guy like I'm the same effective guy with these other guys over here.
Yeah, and I think to your point is you look at the basketball component of it, but I think guys are starting to look way beyond the basketball component of it. When you're talking about longevity in another space and guys making a seamless transition into the corporate space. So you talk about the shop and the show that they have with HBO, and you talk about all these different other entities that they've been able to, build and enhance. I think guys are looking at those platforms and saying, you know what, I have a personality. I seen LeBron make that seamless transition, and we can utilize him as a vehicle to go into these corporate spaces. And I think that's the sales pitch that Rich is bringing, and it's real. Because seeing is believing. Like, you see the real sales pitch, and guys are starting to believe in that, and I think it's great.
Speaking of which, first things first, you have to handle business on the basketball court. LeBron James and the Lakers able to get back to 500 with their comeback victory against the Houston Rockets. Here's Luke Walton ahead of tonight's game against the Pelicans.
Hey, Luke, when you watch the tape from the difference in the first half and the second half and just the small lineup working from the last game, what are the things that you think are most sustainable from that as you now push towards these final games?
The effort, the edge we were playing with, the togetherness, those are things that when we've been good this year have been a constant for us.
Lineup-wise, do you like how the starting lineup has been playing generally with this new group, and what are the things that kind of make it distinct in the way the NBA is now?
Say the last part.
What do you think the things are that makes that group distinct, with how big it is, and sort of what does that enable you to do with the starting lineup?
Well, yeah, we like the size of it for sure. Reggie, he hit it, some more threes for us last game, but getting that, that knockdown shooter out there is helpful. And then, the lineups will, they'll change as the season goes and as the games go. And like I tell our guys all the time, it doesn't matter who starts. It's go out there and play well, and you'll be in at the end of the game, or you'll help the team win. And that's the more important, the important thing than who's in the starting lineup.
How different is prepping for New Orleans when you know that Davis isn't going to play like tonight?
The prep, the personnel, the play calls, that changes a little bit. Some of where our focus would be changes, but we need to have the right mindset and play with the right edge tonight, because we've proven to ourselves throughout the season already. This is the NBA. Everyone can play, and we've lost to teams that we feel we shouldn't have lost to, and even at home. So whether he plays, doesn't play, these are NBA guys playing on their home court. They play hard. They had 71 points in the first half last night up in Indiana. So they just beat up on Minnesota and OKC right before the break, and so these guys are very capable.
You all have hard jobs coaching in this league, but have you thought about what Alvin, how his season has gone since the trade deadline, or leading up to the trade deadline? How the season has changed completely?
Alvin's a good friend of mine. I want him to succeed, but we have a lot going on that my focus is on our guys and what we need to do to try to get to where we want to go.
What they need to do to get to where they want to go, it's going to be a tough road ahead. Lakers 29-29 on the season. They're behind the Clippers, the Kings, Spurs, Jazz, all kind of lumped in there trying to fight for that final seed out west. Not going to be an easy road with 24 games left. 3D, what do you see?
Well, we know the Clippers, Tough Juice, made their last trade to kind of maybe limp their way out of the playoffs, but unfortunately guys like Montrezl Harrell and them, they're playing solid basketball. They don't know how to play one way. But let's face it, the Kings really want to get in, and the Lakers really want to get in. Now, how that unfolds remains to be seen, because you're saying to yourself, does LeBron have enough? Well, he had his little break. He's already said he's going into playoff mode. but are the guys around him ready for playoff LeBron? Are you ready to make those shots? I saw the other night where they struggled in the first half of making shots, and they finally made some shots in the fourth quarter. Defensively, they got the stops they needed. But now, what is that magical number now with 24, 25 games left? Is it 16 wins? Is it 17 wins? You almost have to play mistake-free basketball as you finish up the season, knowing you have a young Sacramento team like, we really want to get in. And I give Steve Ballmer, the owner, a lot of credit. Was here the other night saying, I want to make the playoffs. I want to make the playoffs. I don't care about that projected first-round draft pick. But deep down inside,
he cares.
Yeah, he cares.
And like you said, 3D, like the margin of error is so slim. And you look at, the fifth spot with 25 losses, because the loss column is extremely important when you're thinking about the playoff race. And then the Lakers being 10th at 29 losses, and you said, 24 games remaining, this being one of them, that number will roughly be 16 to 17 wins. And LeBron is all in, he's activated, and I feel like they have the core nucleus, but they can't afford any injuries. Right. And that's the thing that's been their Achilles heel all season long. No pun intended when I mentioned Achilles heel, but, it's just been that situation where Rondo, he's available, he goes out. LeBron being injured for the first time in his long career. Alonzo Ball still not available. Brandon Ingram coming in and out with ankle injuries and little knick-knack things that's lingering. So those guys need to be available for them to make a strong push.
Well, you mentioned Brandon Ingram, and I think of Reggie Bullock as well, who's coming in providing outside shooting. Look, Reggie Bullock, 7 for 14 in his last 2 games. He's only played 4 games with the Lakers. And Brandon Ingram averaging career highs in points and field goal percentage. Is that enough?
Chris, let me ask you, what if we traded you to the NFL Network tomorrow and you had to learn all the NFL players?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As much as I love Reggie Bullock, he's a professional, tough juice, but it's hard to come in and learn to play with LeBron overnight. You know what I'm saying? So, look, that's what we're asking him. And yes, he can shoot. Yes, he's going to play hard. He's going to do all the things they need to do. But we're talking about LeBron. When LeBron says, I'm going into playoff mode, it's a totally different mode. You have to shoot better, pay attention to detail. Everybody has to help the helper, every little thing. Because after last year, if I'm not mistaken, it's the worst positions ever had. He had the 4th seed. They went all the way to the finals. All those other years, he was 1st, 2nd. So now he's asking LeBron to come from 8th or 7th in the Western Conference with a team that's never been there before. We're asking a lot. So that's why I'm saying, are these young guys really, really locked in and understanding when he says playoff mode and what that really means?
Well, looking at a guy with acquiring Reggie Bullock, I feel like he's the addition or one of the additions that's desperately needed for this Lakers team because he's capable of making shots. So all he has to do is line up on that perimeter and spot up and be available and ready to catch and shoot. And I think that he's going to provide more real estate for LeBron to go downhill, penetrate in the paint, Rondo, Brandon Ingram to get into there and mix it up, play the in-between game. And if he's able to do that consistently and defend, they have a realistic shot at, pushing the 7-8 spot.
Certainly a lot going on with the Lakers and see if they can pull out a win against the Pelicans. We got 12 games on this great Saturday and some notable stars out of this one. Anthony Davis with that shoulder injury, James Harden with that injury. Also, pay attention to Karl Anthony Towns. He started his career playing his first 303 games, out for a second consecutive game, involved in a car crash on Thursday, had a concussion. So we got to keep an eye on Karl Anthony Towns, make sure he's okay for the Minnesota Timberwolves as they face the Milwaukee Bucks. Hey, Game Night Monday is always big here on NBA TV. The 76ers